Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Jerry Miller. It's good to be with you on a Monday. It is absolutely gorgeous across Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and Central Virginia. And when it's gorgeous like this, I just feel another spring in my step, and I already have a lot of spring, baby. I think it's probably because of 160 ounces of Greenberry's coffee that I drink every single day. Woke up today at 4:15 in the morning. Mondays are my favorite day, and why Mondays are my favorite day as an entrepreneur and business owner, I have a small list or a notepad that I put here on my iPhone, and I literally am constantly thinking about ways to improve the business or help improve Charlottesville and Central Virginia. So by the time Monday comes around, it's chock full with ideas. So I wake up early and try to get an early start to the week. We're going to welcome James King, the owner-operator of the King Family Vineyards in Crozet, a vineyard that is beautiful, that is successful, that is doing positive things for our community, that is just, I think, an amazing addition to the Central Virginia entrepreneurial landscape. We're excited to spotlight their birth story and their evolution, and to celebrate their parents and their family as what they've built into a generational business, what I'm hoping to do with my business here at I Love CVille and VMV Brands. So James is going to join us in a matter of moments. Let's thank some of the fine folks that make the program possible. First, another generational strong business. It's Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. They are 4 generations strong. We are their advertising agency of record. It started with the first generation, Mr. Wells, with one truck and himself. And he would go service a client, and when he was done servicing the client, he literally would go to a payphone, because this was 1969 when cell phones weren't around. And he would go to a payphone and call the next client and say, "Are you ready for me?" Today, it's 4 generations strong. The office right around the corner from Boden's, an office in the Shenandoah Valley, penetrating the Richmond market, a Commonwealth-wide footprint. Our business is so grateful to work alongside the Wells family and Intrastate Pest and Service Companies, because they're doing things the right way. We also want to celebrate Dr. Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Whether it's chiropractic care, sports medicine, physical therapy, his team is changing people's lives. We work alongside them as the advertising agency of record. I've seen over 5 or 6 year period how this firm and how this practice is literally getting folks improved quality of life. And I love that kind of story. He right now is in Minneapolis, along with, I believe, Mr. Wells of the Wells families in Minneapolis, watching the UVA basketball team do its thing and Coach Tony Bennett do its thing. Harris Tolber's our director. Judah Wickhauer and Lauren Linsky upstairs, producers of this fantastic program. I think what we need to do, Harris Tolber, is go to the studio cam and welcome James King to the set. Thank you kindly for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. It's our pleasure. Love your brand. Love your business. Spend a lot of time out there.
Thank you.
We're going to highlight that. Before we do, what we do is we call it the birth story,
Sure.
the evolution of the person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get out of your way and say, what are your hobbies, your passions, your interests? Kind of give the flip book of
Sure.
James and Crozet in Central Virginia.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks again for having me. I wish other members of my family could be here today, but they're busy operating the business out in Crozet, so I'm here waving the flag for us. A little bit about me personally. I grew up a little bit in Houston, Texas, moved to Charlottesville in 1995. My family and I moved out to Crozet in 1996. Attended St. Anne's Belfield School here in Charlottesville. We started growing grapes in 1998, and more about King Family later. But for me, went to the University of Virginia. Go Hoos.
Me too. Go
looking
Hoos,
forward
baby.
to watching the game tonight. After University of Virginia, joined the United States Marine Corps. I was a logistics officer for 4 years. Married my beautiful wife, Kelly, who was a Navy Nurse Corps officer at the time, also a Wahoo. And we moved out to California, spent some time in the military, got back to Charlottesville in 2012, and the business in 2012 as well. My wife's actually a nurse at the hospital here in town at UVA. And I've been with King Family Vineyards since 2012, doing everything that I'm told usually. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, so I've been the tasting room manager, I've been the general manager. We pick up trash in the parking lots, we pour wine, we cut grass, we do everything that needs to be done to make the business operate successfully. We have an amazing staff out there that helps us and keeps the wheels on the bus. So I am honored and privileged to work there every day with my family. Get to live where I work. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's
the dream.
That's the dream, man. I walk to work. It's amazing. So that's just me in a nutshell. I love being there, and love working alongside my family and our staff. And yeah, that's it.
Andre Xavier says King Family is an awesome, amazing winery. The family is a true asset to Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Great, genuine people. That's Andre Xavier for CVille Hop On Tours. If you have a comment or you'd like to relay something to James King, I'm happy to do it. Sarah Hill-Buczynski is watching in Crozet. Todd Proctor's watching right now.
Awesome.
Jessica Pure, John Updike. A lot of folks watching, and your feed is blowing up. Guys, we will get to any question, comment, anything you want to relay to James or the King family. Happy to do it. Dolores Clymer-Myers says, I absolutely love the King family. I think when you name your business after your surname, it adds another level of expectations and pressure, because you are, expected. You're a good person, your family good people by general. On top of that, your business embodies your family name.
It does.
Put that into perspective. I mean, what was the thinking with the brand, the
Sure.
thinking with the launch of the business?
Yeah, great question. It's very traditional to have your last name on a bottle of wine, but that does come with pressure. We try not to take ourselves too much seriously, but we take what we do very seriously, and that we understand that our business supports many families, including our own. But bottom line, for us, our brand is an experience. It's not just the wine. To talk specifically about having King Family Vineyards on the bottle, that was a decision that my mom and dad made back in 1998 when they formed the LLC. And it was important for them to put the name on the bottle. They wanted to, what they hoped would be a legacy to pass on to their children, which they have. But they wanted their family name on the bottle. That's very traditional in the wine world. So oftentimes, when you see the last name on a bottle, you know that it started from a small family business. It might have grown to something more than that, and maybe it was bought by a corporation. But for us, having the name on the bottle is very important, because we're holding our own feet to the fire, because we're not only putting something in the ground that we grow and nurture, but then we're offering that to our guests and customers to say, here, ingest this, put this in your body, share it with your friends and your family. That's a huge thing to do,
right?
To ask someone to do. And so we don't take that lightly. We ensure that from grape to glass, we work as hard as we can to make an incredible product that people are going to enjoy and want to share with their friends and family. So, yeah.
Great answer. Sizzle Reel both. Harris Tolber, the first one and the second one. Rebecca Fancher, we love the King family. We love King Family Vineyards. Thank you, James, for serving our country. Truly an inspiration. John Updike, James King and I have mutual friends in Kim and Ron Fiak.
Yeah, Falk, yep.
Yeah, Falk.
Yeah, good people.
I sold them their home. Stefan Bernard of Keswick. Wonderful people, great ambassadors for the Virginia wine industry. Jessica Pure, the winery is the closest to my home, and I love it. Is it Crozet Rose?
Crozet.
Crozet
It's
Rose.
a rosé.
Is my jam. Thanks for all you do. Tina Leonard Raybon, watching in Waynesboro. Look forward to checking out King Family Vineyards this weekend.
Awesome, thank you.
Like and share the feed. I mean, when you hear stuff like this, and there's more, guys, I will get to your comments, I promise you. I want to get James here talking too, though.
Sure.
When you hear the community responding like this to your family business, a generational strong business, how does that make you feel?
It feels really good. I mean, I mentioned earlier, we're not really selling wine, we're selling an experience. When I think of what we do at King Family Vineyards, I kind of encompass, we're actually selling memories, but I kind of encompass the whole experience as three things: people, place, and product.
Nice.
And so when people come in our doors, actually before they even reach our doors, they come to our farm, they drive on our property. And we take great pride in ensuring that the place itself is very clean, it's manicured. Because if you see a nice, clean, manicured parking lot with no trash in it, and everything's put together and looks nice, that is a reflection on how we make wine. That's a reflection on how we train our staff, and it carries through everything. So people, place, and product are the three things that I really think of as what we're actually selling. So the place has to look nice. The people have to be really friendly. They have to know something about wine. But our staff is wonderful. And when we interact with guests and customers, oftentimes we don't even talk about wine. We're talking about, hey, where are you staying in Charlottesville? Hey, where are you staying in Crozet? Where should I go to eat tonight? What should I do tomorrow? What's the next vineyard I should go to? What's the next brewery or distillery? So we're kind of that concierge service when you come into our winery. We want to get to know you. We're building relationships with people because hopefully they're not just coming one time. We're creating a returning customer. We're building a relationship with them. And oftentimes people come in and they say, hey, is Kim working today? Is Dave working today? I want to do another tour with Tom. So our people build personal relationships with our guests and the community. And that's really cool to see. We're not just looking for a business transaction. You know, we're here for the long run. We want to develop a relationship with our customers and our guests. So the people are really important. And then the product, obviously the product has to be excellent. Yes. Yeah. You can have the nicest place possible and great, wonderful staff, but if your product isn't good at the end of the day, people they might not come back. So obviously we take a tremendous amount of pride and we work very, very hard, not only in the vineyard on the farm, but also in the winery to ensure that the product is of the highest quality and it's excellent. So those three things, people, place, and product, you put them together, that's an experience that you're selling really. And so if we can continue to cover all those areas, people, place, and product, and provide that to our guests and our customers and the community, I think people will continue to come back and enjoy it with their family and friends, and we can continue to be successful.
I can totally see that you are, successful, not only from firsthand experience of going there with my family and spending many an afternoon there, but how the feed and the community is responding. Barbara Lundgren, she says, and Barbara Lundgren, huge in the wedding industry, the Kings are awesome to everyone who steps on their property. Class act from the start. Ray Cadell and the Cool Cats, great venue for all kinds of events. Yes. Big Ray and the Cool Cats absolutely love it there. I love when you're talking in the third person. Ray Cadell, keep bringing that baby. Yeah. Let me throw this to you here. Crozet, from an evolution standpoint. Yeah. You are woven in the fabric of the Crozet community. One of the go-to spots in Crozet. How have you seen in your time in Crozet the community, the town evolve? I was there yesterday at Old Trail, and then Restoration, and then the Rooftop.
Yes.
Okay, and I was like, dude, like when I
got
here, when I got here in 2000, I was like, where do you go?
Where should I go?
Right. There was like two or three spots.
And they're great spots.
Yeah.
It has grown a lot. I wish Jim Duncan was here. If he's watching, Jim, you're
Love
the man.
Jim Duncan. Ness Realty.
Yeah, Ness. He's chronicled on his blog, Real Crozet VA, I guess the evolution of Crozet. He's been here a long time, and he's great. But I guess from my perspective, we got to Crozet in 1996, as I mentioned before. I would call it kind of a sleepy little town.
Yeah. Intimate.
Okay, yeah, intimate. You know, people, not everyone knows everyone, but you know a lot of people. You get to, everyone at the hardware store. And as we were working to make the farm better and build the farm up, you get to know people in town. Harris Teeter and Blue Ridge Builder Supply, none of that was there. I don't think Blue Ridge Builder Supply was there at the time. But bottom line is we've seen tremendous growth in Crozet. Small family businesses like our owner coming in, larger businesses, Peroni Robotics. So you see a lot of influx of small family businesses, tons of housing. As if Jim were here, he could give me the numbers on all the houses and developments, not only single family homes, but big developments. There's apartment complexes coming online now. So, I remember when I could walk across the street, walk across Half Mile Branch Road, which is now Old Trail Golf Course, and I would bring my fishing rod to go fishing in the lake because it was a cow pasture at the time. And I remember when Gray Rock and all the communities along Jarman's Gap Road were an apple orchard and a peach orchard. So it's gone from this, and it still is very agrarian. Child's Peach Orchard's right behind us. There's still a lot of agriculture there in Crozet, but there's a tremendous amount of housing that's come in and some business as well. So it's been good to see. That hasn't gone. If Jim were here, and if you go on his blog, you can see, it hasn't come without, I guess friction's the best word to describe that. You have more people coming in an area. You can't expect the infrastructure to keep pace with that. It'll eventually catch up, but there's got to be a critical mass that's met before, more infrastructure and roads and bike lanes and trails come in. So I think that's coming. I know it is, but it's been good to see the growth. I think it's been managed fairly well, but it's been good for business. People have come to this community and said, "Hey, we're here because the schools are good." It's fun to be able to go to Child's Peach Orchard and King Family Vineyards and PRN and all these great places in Crozet. So watching it's been interesting and fun. And we're happy to be there, and we hope to stay for a long time.
Ryan Burris, thank you for watching in Richmond. James Watson, thank you for watching. Valerie Landrum, thank you for watching. Chris Stevenson, thank you for watching in Charlotte, North Carolina. Steve Jones in D.C. We have Rick, I'm going to mess up your name, Rick. I'm just going to call you Rick S., watching on Long Island. Folks watching outside Chicago right now.
Cool.
Miriam, Teresa, and Salalis. I love the vineyard and their amazing staff. I love everything about King Family Vineyards. Neil Williamson's got a good topic, and Neil always brings good stuff up here.
He's the man. We love Neil. Yeah.
I love following Neil on
great.
Twitter.
I do too.
And I'm going to throw it to Neil, then I'm going to get it, or throw it to you from Neil and get out of your way. King Family Vineyards has been and is a legislative leader for VA wine on the state and local level, making sure land in the rural areas can be economically productive.
Yes.
The show is yours.
Thank you, Neil. That is an important point. My dad spent years and years on this issue, but to capture what Neil's getting at, around 2007, we wanted to get into the events industry and start having more weddings, at least in an enclosed space. Prior to 2007, we were hosting weddings and events in tents that were attached to the building. That would work some of the time, but if it was wet, you can imagine a muddy mess. So we wanted to get a building built to host events and have nice events indoors. So we started that process, and soon found that the county of Albemarle, at least the board of supervisors at the time,
Not as receptive.
They weren't as receptive at the time. They were gonna limit the amount of events that we could do to 12 per year. So that for us was a bit of a downer at the time. So we said, hey, we got to put on our work boots and go in and see if we can make some changes. So my dad worked tirelessly from 2007 to, for probably 6 years. He's still working on it. But he went to Richmond to help try to get a bill passed to help the Virginia wine industry. And essentially what he was able to do was to help pass a bill that said that weddings and events were quote unquote usual and customary as part of daily operations, and that once that bill was passed, it allowed us to have as many events as people wanted to book throughout the year, which really helped pay bills and change the game. And to Neil's point, allow a business operating in a rural area to operate. So that's kind of a case in point where a little bit of red tape, or at least cutting the red
Bureaucracy.
tape. Yeah, cutting through that and finding some common ground has really helped. And that being said, my dad has helped pass laws at the state level and that have become adopted by the county to ensure that businesses that are operating in a rural area are actually being good neighbors, so there's no friction between neighbors.
We're talking like noise.
Yeah, setback, noise, and traffic. You know, those are the two things. So we've never had a complaint, knock on wood, in the 17 years we've been open. So we understand that if you're operating in a rural area, you do have to play by the rules, and you do have to be a good neighbor. That's as important as anything you can do. So Neil brought up a great point, and man, I wish my dad were here. He's worked so tirelessly on that project, but it is an important thing. And now the county of Albemarle, God bless them, they have kind of come around to seeing that, you know, if you let these businesses operate within a left and right lateral limit, they are going to generate tax revenue, actually. You know, we pay our taxes just like everybody else, and that's a good thing. So there is some middle ground there. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing thing. So thank you, Neil, for that.
Let's create that into a sizzle reel. Harris. Stephanie, good to see you. Stephanie Wells Rhodes of Intrastate Pest and Service Company, thank you for watching. Jeff Sanders and Laura Jackson and Hogan Harper, thank you for tuning in. A lot of comments coming in. Gail, Marie, Marianne, Dieter Jean says, I'm so glad each time to watch the show because I love CVille and how you spotlight it. Jonathan Truslow says, great job, Marine.
Yes, Semper Fi.
Yeah, he's giving you props. Mike, and help me with his last name, Mike Faruggio, or Faruggio.
Yes,
He says, great job, James.
Thank you, Mike.
You're
Appreciate
looking
it.
sharp right here. People want to know when Polo's going to start. G. Reed Smith says, I remember when there was only one tasting station. Now it's busy. It'd be hard to get a seat much after one, which is a testament to them. The King family makes Cab S amazingly well, and they make Crozet even better. So people really giving you some props. Let me throw the polo piece to
Sure.
you and get out of your way with polo. And I'll follow the question up with, when did you start like evolving the model with like all these wedding venues, like all this cool stuff?
That's a great question. Who asked the polo question about
that?
The
polo question is Jessica Pura.
All right,
Pure.
Jessica. So that kind of ties back into the evolutionary story of King Family Vineyards. So my dad caught the polo bug back in Texas when he was in law school at Trinity University. So moving to Virginia, the sole purpose of buying that farm in Crozet was to find a flat piece of ground to build a polo field. So grapes and vines were not a thought in our mind at the time. So we purchased the farm with the intent of having a polo field because my dad loved to play, and not with the intent of starting a club or anything. He just loved to play polo that much. So we purchased the farm in '96. The polo field actually came in the early 2000s, but we were going to grow corn and alfalfa, which were on the farm, and play polo. My dad had this, Jeffersonian dream, the gentleman farmer. He was going to grow crops and sell crops and ride a horse. And so that was the plan. Well, the very next year, 1997, Mother Nature had other plans. We had a terrible drought in 1997. The corn withered, the crops died, the alfalfa's dead. So we were sitting in the farmhouse at the time. This is the fall of 1997 after this terrible drought. We're like, what are we going to do? We have to pay off the farm. We got to pay bills. We got to buy groceries. What are we going to do? And this fateful knock on the door comes, fall of 1997. This young man opens up the door. This is before cell phones, obviously. He's been driving around Albemarle County with a map in his hand. And my mom opens the door, we're about to sit down for dinner, and she says, "Can I help you?" And he says, "Yes, ma'am. I'm driving around the county and just graduated from Virginia Tech with an enology and viticulture degree. And I think your land has been deemed excellent for viticulture." And my mom said, "Vita what?" We didn't know what this guy was talking about. So she said, "Why don't you come in for dinner?" My mom's super hospitable, hostess with the mostest. So he comes in for dinner and he explains why you can grow grapes well in Crozet, Virginia. It's got good elevation, good soil. You've got this nice breeze, so it helps grapes grow there. So he wants to buy 10 acres of our land to grow grapes and make wine. And we said, "Well, that sounds interesting, but we still need to pay off this farm. We don't really know who you are right now," so we didn't want to just sell land to some random stranger. So we thanked him, and he went on his merry way. Here's where it gets cool. He left us his business card, which we instantly lost. So my dad started doing his homework, and he said, "Viticulture, interesting." Starts reading books, says, "Yeah, let's try it." So we hired a vineyard consultant. He comes out, 1998, the spring of 1998, we established King Family Vineyards, LLC. We plant 8 acres of grapes, Viognier and Merlot. Our plan is to just sell fruit. So we start selling fruit 2 years later, and then 4 years later, we make a little bit of wine. In 2000 was our first vintage. We made 460 cases of wine, which is not that much. We didn't even have a winery. So what we would do is we would harvest these grapes, put them in a cooling truck, ship them over to Afton Mountain Vineyards, who graciously allowed us to use their equipment. We hired a winemaker, Michael Shaps, who works at Wineworks, Michael Shaps.
Sure.
And
kind of a legend.
yeah, oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Half the wines in the top 12 wines in Virginia in the governor's cases here were from Michael. He does amazing work. Anyways, at the time, Michael was helping us make wine. We were using Afton Mountain Vineyards equipment. We made a little bit of wine. Well, just so happened that year that a wine writer from the UK comes out to taste 400 Virginia wines. He picks 8 wines that he really likes, and one happens to be our Merlot.
Really?
So my dad gets called over to Barracks Vineyards, who's this icon of Virginia wine. Luca makes amazing wine there. And my dad's sitting at this table with Luca on the other end and this wine writer and 7 other wineries in Virginia that are established. And this gentleman said, "I really like all these wines. That Merlot from Roseland Farm in Crozet is really good too." And all these guys kind of looked down the table at my dad like, "Who are you and why are you here?" Because we were the new kids on the block back then. And so my dad kind of knew then that we had a really good site for grapes. So 2000, we decided to expand the vineyard and build a winery. So we broke ground in 2001. We opened our doors in 2002, October 1st, 2002. And we've been operating ever since. And to the person's comment, we did start with literally 2 wine barrels and a board. And my mom was behind that serving the wine, and my dad would be dragging hoses and cleaning tanks in the back.
I love that.
Yeah, it was cool. We actually had a little bell that would ring when a car passed by to let us know that we had a customer. because back then the phone didn't ring and customers didn't come in the door. So tastings were free. We literally had to give our product away and say, please try this. And then, you know, as we've grown, we've made more wine, we've expanded the vineyard. And to get back to polo, we've expanded polo. You know, my dad's passion is polo. He played for a long time. And back in 2000, I believe, when we started to lay out the plans for the polo field, we didn't have plans to have anybody come watch. And so polo, just like the winery, has evolved very organically in that my dad would just be out playing with friends, and people who came to taste wine would say, hey, what's going on over there? Let me go over there and watch. And so that's how it evolved, is people bringing lawn chairs knowing that these random people were playing polo and they wanted to watch it. And so now it's grown to what it is today, where we get several hundred people out there on a Sunday to drink wine and have fun and enjoy the view. And that's really what it is we're just sharing our space. I mean, people want to come out, they want to look at a beautiful view. Yeah, they want to watch some polo, but they want to enjoy a delicious product in a beautiful place with their family and friends. So that's
Jessica's
what we're really
asking,
offering.
I can't wait to get out there.
Yeah, so polo's going to start Memorial Day weekend.
Awesome.
Memorial Day Sunday, cross our fingers for no rain.
Good weather, yeah.
Last year we unfortunately had to cancel probably 10 matches due to weather. So every Sunday Memorial Day weekend through about mid-October at 1 o'clock.
It's amazing.
If people want updates, they can go to our website, www.kingfamilyvineyards.com, or our Facebook page for updates on whether or not we're going to cancel the match if there's rain or if the field's wet. But we hope to have a great season and have a lot of people out to enjoy the day.
Let's turn that into a sizzle reel, please, Harris Tolbert, and then let's call that King Family Entrepreneurial Evolution, because I thought that was beautiful there. Laura Jackson, Jeff Sanders, Joe Finazzo, thank you for watching. Joe Finazzo, Sal's Cafe Italia, Stacy Reed, William Cooper, Catherine Lochner, Christian Pettygrove, Charlie Scott, one of the best softball coaches in Central Virginia, Tret Wedding, thank you for watching. Bob Shada, Nicole Scrow, a lot of people on the stream. If you could do us the favor of liking and sharing the stream, we're live on 7 channels, 7 Facebook pages across the I Love CVille network. A lot of people work really hard on this show. All I ask in return is if you give it a like and share. I'm going to throw another one. Amanda Trucks. I wish I lived closer. I love King Family Vineyards.
She's a family member. She's awesome.
Okay. I messed up your name.
Thanks,
I'm sorry
Amanda.
about that, Amanda.
No, she's great. Truex.
Truex, okay.
Truex, yeah.
Let me throw this to you. And this is a sizzle reel waiting to happen, Harris. And this is on your dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of your way.
No,
he
it's fine.
seems like Renaissance and visionary
He is.
and willing to take strategic risk and like embodying all the qualities of like a successful entrepreneur, where we know that 80% of businesses fail in their first 3 years.
They do.
And this gentleman is going in with the mindset of this Jeffersonian concept and pivots his model to something he didn't even consider.
Big pivot.
That takes, lack of a better phrase, that takes cojones right there to do something
it
like that.
absolutely does.
Talk to me about him, the vision, the Renaissance, the entrepreneurial mindset.
Sure. My dad is just that. He's a Renaissance man. He's not only is a polo player and a lawyer, he's a pilot. He can fly rotary. He can fly fixed wing. He can shoot a gun, ride a horse. I mean, the guy's modern day MacGyver. He's the man. But yeah, we did pivot. He has been very strategic, very thoughtful, always wants to look at the numbers. You know, he's been the one guiding hand as we've gone about this journey to say, hey, well, let's step back. Let's think about this. Let's be thoughtful. Let's be careful. And so that's why everything's grown organically. You know, he's served on so many boards over the years, and he tells people that come to us and they want to get into the wine industry, and he'll say, let me try to talk you out of it. Because there is tremendous amount of risk in the wine industry, because you're dealing with agriculture, and agriculture has a tremendous amount of risk. You know, one year you can have a terrible drought, which is actually good for grapes as long as you have irrigation. And then one year you can have a hurricane and it can rain. The capital investment is just so high. And he's told everyone that have come to us to say, hey, what can I do to get in the wine industry? He'll try to talk you out of it, and that's only to be playful, but a little bit serious, because it is such a big investment of time and energy and capital resources. But he pivoted because he knew once we had that meeting at Barracks Vineyards in 2000 that we had a good site. He said, all right, let's scale up. This is an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, corn and alfalfa aren't going to work out.
Right.
Grapes might. So let's grow that a little bit. So we expanded the vineyard a little bit. You know, we went from 460 cases to 1,000 cases, but everything's been slow to grow. It's been very organic. We never had a business plan. We it's crazy. It seems crazy, but we've never had a business plan. We never budget. Anyone that's a business owner that's watching this right now is like, oh my gosh, how do they operate? A lot of communication, but we grow very organically and slowly. We want to think of an idea, whether we see it somewhere else or someone has an idea, try it, put our toe in the water first. Hey, that's a success. Let's keep going that way. Let's see what happens. And if it's not something to try, or we realize it fails, hey, that's what life is about, is learning to find out what works. And if you fail, hey, try something new. As you know, as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you don't just wake up and succeed. You wake up and you work hard, and you can fail 1,000 times, but as long as you keep going, eventually you're going to succeed and hit it. So he has really been, like I said, the guiding hand that's helped us grow along the way and kind of take a step back when we want to run forward. He's like, hey, let's hold on and let's look at this and let's talk to people and let's do some research and read books. I mean, he's very studious. He'll read 1,000 books on something before he wants to make a decision. He'll go talk to people who've done it and failed and succeeded. And so he's been the
really, North Star.
Oh man, he has been the guiding light and the North Star for our family. And I'm happy to share this. As I mentioned to you before, his health isn't the greatest right now. So we're hoping that improves. But he's taught us over the years so many lessons that we've taken on, my brothers and I, my mom, and all of our staff. He just poured into us. So we're going to be just fine in the long run. And we've just been so blessed to have him around as the person to be that North Star for us, and not only help King Family Vineyards, but as Neil Williamson mentioned earlier, he's helped the Virginia wine industry in so many ways. We've always wanted to help share our knowledge. We're an open book. If anyone watching this wants to come start a vineyard and winery, please come over and talk to us. First, we'll try to talk you out of it, but if you're crazy enough to want to continue to do that, we'll help you, because our philosophy has always been a rising tide raises all boats. We want not only the Virginia wine industry to succeed, but the breweries, the distilleries, the cideries, all of them to succeed. Because when one business, as you know, succeeds on this street, then one's going to succeed across the street and over there and over there. It's like the downtown mall.
It's like 151's a microcosm of that.
Exactly. And so
it's a tourist destination where folks are hopping across all 3 or 4 of them.
Yes. And so if you can build that critical mass, and other people help you along the way, it can really generate something that's really powerful that people come from all over the country and the world to enjoy. So he's been a critical person in that journey, in that he's helped pass legislation, he's helped pass, county ordinances, and just help people get in the industry and get a foot in the door. And our winemakers the same way, our vineyard managers the same way, my brother. So it's a great industry to work in because it's so open book. People want to help each other out. When our tractor breaks down, we can pick up the phone, call the local vineyard down the road and say, hey, can you help us out? And they'll say, sure, when do you want it? We share winery equipment, so we share knowledge. The winemakers always get together, the vineyard managers get together, and the owners do too. So it's been this amazing industry to get into where people help each other to grow, because our success is intricately tied into everybody else's success, and that's why we all help each other out.
That's great. Sizzle reel that, called King Family Dad. Linda Scotland Lysier is literally watching from Scotland right now.
Awesome.
She says, hello from Scotland. I miss living around the corner from King Family Vineyards. This is a great show right here.
Awesome.
We have Rick Long watching in the United Kingdom. He says, I used to live in Crozet. I moved to the UK for work. I miss King Family Vineyards and spending weekends there.
Yes.
We have folks watching in Minneapolis. Go Who's.
Yes.
Watching from, I would anticipate, they're waiting for the championship game tonight. We will talk about that with James here shortly. Anita Byers, I want to get you on this show here and show your vocal talents. Thank you for watching. Tiffany Rosales, thank you for watching here. You climbed, and the reason I know this, and Cindy Schoenberg from Keswick.
Yeah.
She says prayers to your father.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We've had Al on this show.
Yeah.
And he's also a pioneer.
Yes, absolutely.
In the wine industry.
Thank
John
you so
Peters
much.
says, James King, you are the man. Sean Miller brings this up. Sean Miller says, James just climbed Kilimanjaro, and then Yvonne French saw Sean Miller's comment and said, ask him about the Waterboys. That's why he climbed Kilimanjaro. Amazing work from James King. I'll get out of the way.
So, as you probably know, Chris Long, who
he's the man.
Grew up in Charlottesville. We went to school together, actually, at St. Anne's, and Chris has done so many amazing things. He's got the Chris Long Foundation. He's been at Virginia playing football, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. So he's uber successful on and off the field. But he's obviously I see him as that, but he's my friend. And 2 years ago, I invited him to my birthday party, and I didn't expect him to say yes, but I said, hey, I saw what you're doing with Waterboys. I really like what you're doing. If you ever have someone fall off the list, please think of me. I'd love to help you. And what Waterboys is one of Chris Long's initiatives to get clean water to communities in need. And so in 2013, he hiked up Mount Kilimanjaro with a teammate off-season, and they noticed the tremendous need for clean water in Tanzania and East Africa. So he met with some people from World Serve International, Joe Buck, Doug Pitt, and a couple people, and decided that clean water was one of his initiatives. That was going to be one of his things that he wanted to help out with. So 2015, he founded Waterboys. They basically take 7 NFL veterans or players and 7 military veterans, and they get together and they will go to Tanzania or elsewhere, primarily Tanzania right now, and they will drill wells. They will raise money actually here in the U.S. to have local crews drill deep bore wells that'll last 25 years to provide clean water for up to 7,500 people per well.
That's awesome.
I think they just founded well 56, if memory serves me correctly. So they're impacting a tremendous amount of people in East Africa with clean water. And so we do that for a couple days, and then everyone gets together, the NFL veterans and players and the military veterans, and you go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, just as kind of a team building thing, something fun to do and something challenging to do. And so I actually just got back March 13th from doing that. And it was great. I expected Chris, when I asked him at my birthday, to say, our class is full. And he actually did say, hey, we're full this year, but come with me next year. So I said, absolutely, I'd love to. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, the Chris Long Foundation, Nicole Woody there, reached out to me and Anne-Marie Schindler, and they said, hey, start raising money. And so I raised almost $30,000 from Charlottesville and the Crozet communities to get wells built over there. Our class of, I think, 16 people, we've almost raised over $100,000 this year. So we funded 2 wells. We're well on our way to fund our 3rd, but the goal is to have each year's class fund 3 wells. And so it was a really challenging hike. I really enjoyed it.
I was going to ask you, because you're in good shape.
I'm 10 years removed from lacrosse in the Marine Corps, but I trained hard for that hike.
Tell me about the training.
So I decided to.
Was it the hardest thing you've ever done physically?
It was the hardest thing I've ever done physically, and it's tough to say that as a Marine officer.
Right.
I mean, I've been on forced marches with about 25 miles under load, and I thought that was fun. Granted, I was younger, but it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I think because the altitude really gets you. When you're above 15,000 feet, your brain's being compressed, your lungs are compressed. You're gasping for breath, but I trained hard. I went to ZSP CrossFit, another local business. I'd love to give a shout out to Carl Zavko at ZSP CrossFit in Crozet. It really helped me train for the hike. All the staff there, all the members there, were a great community to train with, and Carl in particular really helped me. And I also hiked up Jarman's Gap. So we've got this amazing set of mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, right down the road, literally like a mile from where I live. So the elevation wasn't there. I think the Blue Ridge where we are only get to around 2,300 feet. So not a tremendous test in elevation, but the incline was hard. And so I would hike those with friends leading up to the hike, and then I hiked with Chris in town a week before the hike, and he assured me everything's going to be fine, and it was fine, but man, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. But I did summit. I think everyone except one person in our group summited, so we had a lot of success there, and it was really fun. It was funny. Chris and I were walking back down the mountain together, and we're catching our breath, and he turns to me and he says, bro, what item would you have to left at the top of the mountain to want to go back up and get it? And I just started laughing. I said, dude, there's no item. It's my family members. If my wife and kids are up there, I'd go get them. But you could put, $10 million in a briefcase at the top. I wouldn't go get it. It was really, really tough.
That's a sizzle reel right there. That was amazing.
It was a really cool experience. The people in Tanzania, this beautiful, vibrant culture. The kids were amazing. It was really great to see the before and after of where our money's going to go. So a lot of times
it's tangible.
It's tangible. You can donate.
Right.
Everyone
and
gets
it goes
hit
with
up.
A slush fund.
Oh
like,
yeah. How many steak dinners is
right.
this? Is this
right.
going to provide? So it was really cool because you got to see this is what it's like before wells go in, which is really hand to mouth subsistence agriculture, really tough, dirty water, sick kids, people are dying, to healthy kids, people are going to school. The women and the young girls that are traveling up to 10 miles a day to get this water every day, guess what? They can go to school now. How cool is that? So what we're doing is we're not only raising money to provide clean water.
It's generational impact.
It's generational change.
Yeah.
It's generational impact. You're saying, hey, you don't have to go get dirty water anymore. You can go to school, get an education, better yourself, better your family, better your community. So that's really what it is. And that, as just someone that wants to help people, but coming from the Marine Corps, when you leave the military, at least I did, and I know this is true for a lot of veterans, is you look for that next mission, that sense of purpose, and having a cool charity like that to help out, to really help people, has been recently my new mission and my new my focus. So it's been really great to help Waterboys and really great to give back and really great to just focus on something new and to help people. So I hope to do more of that, whether it's with Waterboys or another charitable organization that comes my way.
Love this.
Speaking of Waterboys, Chris and the Chris Long Foundation are going to be out at King Family Vineyards, I believe Saturday, May 11th, if I'm not mistaken. I can get that in your feed later if my date's off. But from 1 to 4 o'clock, we're going to be out there raising more money for Waterboys. So we will continue to raise money for this project as long as we can, and I'm thrilled and honored to be a part of it.
So that's the end of the sizzle reel. Let's start at Harris with the training aspect and go all the way through that answer and call it King Family Waterboys, please, because I think that's something that we need to get out there. Sarah Hill really saying, yes, ZSP, CrossFit, and Carl are the man.
Yeah, Carl's the man.
Jay Wyan is watching in Keswick. Sonia Marshall Dean, thank you for watching. You got, this is an interesting comment here. Yeah. And Harris, I want to get you in the mix here shortly. Katie Sturba, thank you for watching. I think that's
Katie.
a fellow St. Anne's Belfield alum. We helped build her brand, Famesgate Stables. Micah Sneed says, best tent mate ever. James King. What is he talking about there?
So Mike and I climbed up Mount Kilimanjaro together. He was my tent mate.
Okay.
So I hung with him for, I don't know how many days in the tent, 6 or 7. So he was a great guy. He's a fellow Marine veteran. And
was Kerry Rock on that one?
Kerry was on last year.
Okay.
So I was
the year before
privileged to meet Kerry.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's the man. He helped me out.
Is he also a Marine?
Army veteran.
Yeah.
So Kerry helped me out with fundraising, got me in touch with some local businesses to help with fundraising. So that was great. Kerry's awesome. But yeah, Mike is great. Micah, thanks for watching, man. Micah was a great tent mate, great Marine. Didn't get to serve with him, but just getting to know him, I can tell he's an awesome guy, and proud to know him and be his friend. Thanks for watching.
Nita Finazzo from Sal's Cafe Italia, thank you for tuning into the show. Guys, he's killing it. James is crushing it here. Why don't you like and share the feed for us? 7 channels on the I Love CVille network you guys are watching. Just give it a like and a share. Harris, I'll get you in next question. So get ready for that one. Harris Tolber is a proud Crozatian and a Western Albemarle graduate. We'll go to him shortly. The social entrepreneurship piece. You run a for-profit business that's committed to leaving your community in a better place, just like we do. We call it being a conscious capitalist or a social entrepreneur. Yeah. Put that into perspective.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, like we said, a rising tide raises all boats. Ultimately, all businesses have to be profitable. I mean, you can't expect to do good if you're not in the black. So if you're, but however, having said that, going back to my dad's being a risk taker and a planner, we were in the hole for about 8 years. I mean, that's a long
terrifying.
time. That's terrifying.
Yeah,
and
terrifying.
When we want to do big projects, we call up VNB, Virginia National Bank, another awesome local business here, and we say, hey, we need to borrow some money for a little bit for this project, and so they've been really helpful to help us grow as we've taken on bigger projects. But bottom line, we know we have to be in the black. But having said that, we love, and we have a lot of requests daily, weekly for, hey, can you support here? Hey, can you support there? And we love giving back. We love helping where we can, when and where we can. So that's an important part of what we do. You know, sometimes you can get caught up, and I'm sure a lot of small businesses and anyone really, stay-at-home mom, dad, whoever, you can kind of just get caught in the grind every day of doing what you're doing, and you're running on a treadmill and it's not slowing down at all. And you kind of sometimes have to take a breath, step back, and think about why we're doing what we're doing. Why are we here? Why are we working this hard? Does this make any sense? Do we want to be here? And when things are hard and it's tough, I think we all fall back, at least I do. You know, 99.9% of the time, it's great. But there is that 1% that gets really hard, whether it's a, you know, family work-life combo.
I was going to ask you,
we can talk about that. We could do a whole show on working with family. Yeah. So, but
it ain't easy.
No, it ain't easy. Family time is hard, but when it does get difficult, I think at least I fall back on, hey man, this is an amazing place. It's an amazing place to raise family. Look at the gift that our parents have provided. So that's something internally that I think about, but also looking at the bigger picture. We're not just here to make a buck and move on. We're here to support our families, but help support the community too. You know, when the community's in need, I can't remember the year, I think it was 2011 or 12 when we had a bad drought. Our business opened its doors to be a cooling station for the community, that people who didn't have air conditioning working, they could come to our business, either walk there or drive there. It was the derecho in 2012. And they could come and drink some cold water in an air-conditioned place because we had a generator operating. And so if we can give back, we will. We provide space for local businesses and community organizations like the Crozet Volunteer Fire Department, the Albemarle County Rescue Squad. Those are organizations that are vital to our community, and we want to help them where we can. You know, we're not going to charge them the same amount of to host their event at our place that we would, you know, someone else coming from out of town, because they're our neighbors and they're our friends and we see them every day. So we like giving back when and where we can. We're not always able to do that.
Sure.
But it is important to us. And so every day and week when we do get those requests, we'll talk about them and say, hey,
is this the right one?
Yeah. How do you guys feel about this? Is this the right one? What do we want to do here? So that's just part of being
a social
entrepreneur who's thoughtful, and that's what we want to do. That's what we want to continue to do, is not only grow our business and support our families and our staff and our employees, but also support the greater community, other businesses, the Virginia wine industry as a whole. So that's really important to us.
I love that answer. I can totally relate. Harris, we're going to get you in here shortly. Started our business in 2008.
Yeah.
Took my life savings, which at the time in 2008 was $32,000. Pumped it into the business. 7 months in, not a single client. Watched the bank account dwindle to nothing. Literally was going to the Panda Garden Buffet across my old stopping grounds, Lambeth Commons, and was taking Ziploc bags and stealing food in Ziploc bags, and that was my food for 3 days. And if it wasn't that, I was going to my buddy's homes, lifting up seat cushions and getting $1.03 and change for a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, but then did well by one client 7.5 months in. That client told somebody else.
That's it.
That client told another person, and it started snowballed.
That's it.
And now we're successful. Judah, who's been with me the longest, almost 7 years in June, working on buying a house.
Awesome.
And it just, I feel like we can do things where it's, you know, like you said, you have to be in the black to keep the lights on, to keep the staff doing well, and to keep being able to make an impact. But we can do it in a way where we can like leave the community better. It's the difference between a community-oriented and social entrepreneurship like mindset business, and someone, and I'm not going to marginalize anyone, but someone like a Dominion Energy that's only focused on like the bottom line and P&Ls and balance sheets. And that's why we're celebrating King Family, because they're doing it the right way. I'm going to bring Harris Tolber into the mix. He graduated from Western Albemarle High School, grew up in Crozet. Show is yours, Harris Tolber.
Yeah, I've enjoyed, you know, hearing a lot about King Family Vineyards so far, and you know, one thing that you said that I really resonated with was when you were talking about your dad and just being a risk taker. I think that, like you said, life's about just taking a risk and seeing if you can, you know, make it work and make it happen. And, you know, that's kind of my philosophy is also like when you get to a point where you run into like failure, that's the perfect point to just be persistent and keep pushing. Because my thing is like when you fail the first time, you know, somebody else gave up at that point, and you have the chance to be the guy that is persistent and keep going with that. I also liked when you were talking about being in the military and just searching for your next mission. Like I thought that was a really, really cool way to phrase that, and to give back to others and just help others. So I've really enjoyed the interview so far.
Thanks, man.
And
Appreciate that.
and we'll get Caitlin Mancini says, I'm glad I tuned in today. Love hearing the King family story. For the entrepreneurs that are watching, and we love to spotlight entrepreneurs just because that's one of the things that we're really interested in, is celebrating the community. I mean, the fear of failure is like such a paralysis of analysis. I think as entrepreneurs, we almost have to embrace failure, because while in the short term, it can be so agonizing and so devastating. I feel like every time I have failed, and I'm going to get out of the way and throw it to you, but every time this business has failed in some capacity, there is something positive that has emerged from that short-term failure that's led to a long-term foundation and tenet of the business.
Absolutely.
And a good example is this show. Initially when we were doing this show, and Judah, you remember this, initially when we were doing the show in a way where we didn't have the technology right, we weren't sure what we were doing, and I was like, I feel like we're onto something, and we kept just trying to go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And now we're celebrating your family and your business, and the place is responding and just loves to hear the story.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gosh, I can't count how many times we failed, but and working with family, it can be even more difficult.
Let's go down that path.
For example,
Give the dynamics of the family and the business.
Well, I won't air all of our dirty laundry, but
I mean the structure.
Yeah, the structure. So it's funny, structure-wise, and I'll answer the question about failure and business. But structure-wise, I would say we're very flat. We don't have this. I mean, yeah, there's managers and partners and stuff if we looked at the documents, but at the end of the day, we're all, operators. We work in our business. Oftentimes, I'm picking up cigarette butts in the parking lot and trash. That's actually my Monday morning routine, and I didn't get to it today because I'm here, and that's okay. I'll get to it when I get back. But as owners, the fear of failure is always there, and we're always constantly working so hard day and night and dreaming about it, how we can get better and how we can take a failure and make it a success. And my mom is a perfect example of this. If she's watching, I love you, Mom. She's the one that's always constantly not only telling me to do something, but telling my brothers to do the same thing. So we all show up at the same place to do the same job, and we all start laughing at each other because we know my mom is the one who's constantly thinking about how to make things better, and hey, did you make sure that you crossed this T and dotted that I? So as business owners and operators, we do whatever has to be done to make it work. And getting back to answering your question, I remember in 2006, my dad said, we don't need a website. We can operate without one. And granted, the internet was not
what it is today.
Yeah. But I kind of started laughing. I was like, of course we need a website. And so there have been times when a family member has said, that's a terrible idea. And maybe not in those words, maybe some short 4-letter words are thrown in there, but we'll try it anyways. And the next week they'll say, the same person that said that's a terrible idea will say, that's the best idea ever.
Right.
And so it is kind of, it's fun and difficult at the same time of operating our environment because we don't have a budget. We don't have all these lengthy board meetings that are going to bog us down with this bureaucracy. If we have an idea and we want to go execute it, we do it. And if it fails, great, we're going to try something else. And so being nimble and being able to do that is like a blessing.
That helps your success.
Awesome. Yes, it does. It really does. You don't get the paralysis by analysis.
Right.
You're just like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's try that. I mean, this week.
But it's also terrifying because you don't have as many people to give feedback.
No, you don't.
So yours is much more developed than mine. Mine is 11 years in, and a lot of times it's me coming in and I got an idea.
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to do this today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, like, lack of a better phrase, I try not to show the trepidation.
Yeah.
And like the worry because
Confidence, right? Yeah.
I want the guys to be like,
this is a good idea.
This is a good idea. Yeah. But inside, it's like a duck
Sure.
on a pond.
Sure. I mean, I try to ask our staff now at the same time. I try to ask everyone, if I have an idea for a new piece of technology or point of sale or whatever, I'll think about it. I'll let it kind of marinate for a while, and then I'll ask the people on the ground. Like as a Marine officer, oftentimes I'm not the one kicking in the door to do the thing. I have to ask someone else to do that, and I trust them with that mission. Similarly, our staff downstairs, they're the ones in the trenches, quote unquote, doing the work of building relationships with customers and guests. And so if I'm going to purchase a tool for them to use to complete their mission, I want to ask them about it first. I want to say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? I've heard your feedback here. I saw your recommendation here. How can we solve this problem? And I'll get, a bunch of their feedback and inputs on that. And then I'll ask, a peer, a colleague, my brother, my mom, my dad, and then I'll go ask our staff, like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And sometimes, it ends up, hey, that didn't work out. You failed. And that's okay. Like, hey, let's try again. Based on the failure and what we learned, let's go this route instead. And because we're nimble and because we can operate that way, it'll end up working out. And so that's been really great to be nimble and be able to be fast and adapt.
Malleable.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome. That's kind of our motto. Stealing it from the Marine Corps, we say that a lot. Just get it done, improvise, adapt, and overcome. So it's been great to be able to do that at King Family Vineyards.
Daniel Kaufman, Public Fish and Seafood, thank you for watching. James Civically, thank you for watching. Stephanie Wells Rhodes of Intrastate Pest and Service Company says it's extremely hard working with family, coming from a third-generation person. Yeah. Stephanie, I know firsthand because I am working firsthand with her at Intrastate. She is running a huge aspect of the business.
Yeah.
And her company started with one truck in 1969 where her grandfather literally was servicing a client and then going to a phone booth and calling the next client. And then his son, Mr. Wells, who I call Mr. Wells, but his son then took the business and really made it boom. And now Stephanie and Camryn and Greg, the second generation son, they're now taking it to another level. Yeah. And now Stephanie's kids are getting involved with the business.
Now they have a fleet and they're regional, or international.
So I love the story like that. I want my business to be that way.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this question. You have 2 kids?
Yes, one on the way.
One on the way. Your brothers have kids?
Oh, yeah. Carrington, my oldest brother, has 3 girls.
Okay.
And Stuart, the middle, also older brother, has 2 sons.
How do you manage, or do you manage, and I know they're young, but do you think long-term of like, I want the third generation actively involved in the business? That's
something that I've thought a lot about. I've talked to a few people about it.
Because you don't want to like set their future for them.
Sure, you don't. And our parents never pushed anything on us. They, this was a choice. This was getting into the family business was a choice for all of us. We were doing other things, and we wanted to be on the farm with the business. But to answer your question, do I think that the third generation can do it? If they want to, that's a big if, because they're probably going to grow up and say, man, you all work too hard. I want to do something else. If they want to do it, I know that we're going to try as hard as we can to make that happen, because that's the way our parents operated. If we started to show interest in something, they would say, hey, let's find a way to make that happen. And I know that my brothers feel the same way about their kids, is if there's an interest in something, let's try to have them pursue that. I hate to be pessimistic about it, but in this is just my opinion. And we've talked about it at length within the family, but unfortunately the tax burden is tremendous.
Put that in perspective. What do you mean?
So just operating a business, the operating expenses are very high. And we are successful. We are in the black, but when someone passes on, the estate taxes is crushing family farms across this country every day. Land in Albemarle County is very expensive. And so when my parents pass on, and I hope that's decades from now, the tax to keep the farm in our family and keep the business operating is going to be tremendous. For us 3 brothers to cobble that together to make it work. And we've planned for that. But getting to the third generation, to answer your question, and a lot of the entrepreneurs with generational businesses will be able to relate to this, but as the family grows and expands and the generations get bigger, the quote unquote piece of the proverbial pie gets smaller for everybody. And so if one of the currently 7 kids in our family were to say, hey, I want to do that, the tax burden would be too difficult for one person to make that happen. So I don't know if it's possible. I hope that we could find a way if they want to do that. But, you know, we want to expose them to everything that the world has to offer.
Sure.
And if they want to stay near, go far, then we want to facilitate that process. But if I could, it would be my dream to be able to facilitate a handoff and pass the baton to the next generation.
That's what I want to do.
That would be amazing.
That'd be amazing because it continues the legacy.
It does, and even if they did it for just a couple years, and you know, check that box and say, "Hey, Dad, it's been real and fun, but not real fun." That would be cool.
It's unfortunate that entrepreneurship, which drives the country forward, the creating of jobs and entrepreneurs, and especially entrepreneurs like you who are social entrepreneurs and conscious capitalists, it's unfortunate that there's so much like bureaucracy and red tape and like hurdles that we have, and that's part of being an entrepreneur. If it was easy, everybody would do it, and they got to figure out the process.
Yeah.
But what do you think? This is a deep macro question.
This is a deep macro question.
What do you think? What do you think should be done about it? I'm sure you've thought about it.
I have thought about it. I mean, here's an example of, I think, a solution. And I don't want to say get government out of the way, because government serves an important purpose. But
I say that often, though. I'm a libertarian.
I am a libertarian as well.
Yeah.
So I'm a small government
socially
guy,
liberal, physically conservative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the case in point where my dad in 2007 was told by the Board of Supervisors at the time, hey, that all looks great, but you can only have 12 events per year. You know, that's a business killer.
Right.
And, you know, why is that? Well, it was a number either drawn out of a hat or who knows, but it wasn't, that number wasn't thought of by a business owner, someone that signs the front of checks. And so.
Thought about it as a politician.
Yeah. Like, well, 12 seems like a good number. Well, why is that the case? And so I think that to answer your question, I think it's going to take people like my dad that are willing to step up to the plate, be thoughtful, considerate, and smart about working with local government, working with your district supervisor. Ann Malik's been amazing. She's represented us well, and it's going to take people that want to work hard, want to own their own business, but that's only half of it. You have to be willing. It's a two-way street. You have to be willing to compromise, and you have to be willing to work with your local government to come up with something that'll work for not only the people who are going to say, well, noise and traffic, but you're also going to have to advocate for yourself and say, well, I want to run a business that's going to bring in tax revenue for the county. I mean, that's an argument too. So I think it's going to take more hard work, more people willing to come to a table like we're doing now. Even if we didn't see eye to eye on some things,
we can respectfully disagree
and say, well, hey, how can we come to a middle ground to make something happen? Because that's what politics is, hopefully, at its best. And that's honestly what I've seen over the last decade of my dad doing that, whether it be in Richmond or here in Albemarle County in the office building, is going in and say, hey, can we work something out? Where can we find some common ground to not only solve the problem you're talking about, but help me solve my problem too, so I can operate and get in the black where I need to be, to create jobs, to create wealth for people. And so that's been something that I've gotten to watch, and I think that's really important. And so for people, you know, it's funny, and you probably don't have this fear, but so many people are afraid of public speaking, right? Like if you take a survey, people are afraid of dying more than they are, people are less afraid of dying than they are of public speaking. Right. They're terrified. And what do you have to do when you go talk to the Board of Supervisors or the county? You gotta speak in public.
Right.
And so I think if people are willing and able to fight for their industry, whatever your industry is, and if you have an issue, like take it up with your local representative, because hopefully they'll listen, and hopefully can find some middle ground. And that goes like not only for Albemarle County, but across the country. I mean, we have to find solutions to problems, and it's going to take people who are willing to listen and speak up and be an advocate for themselves and work for their industry and work with the local community.
And one of those people that has done it well is watching right now, Al Schoenberg, good friend of this program, Keswick Vineyards. Al, I got nothing but big time love and respect for you, Al Schoenberg. He's been on the show a number of times. And honestly, this is and my wife is watching right now, and she goes, I know where he's going to go with this. This is what I'm struggling with internally. Is I've been 11 years of doing this business in 2008. We're really successful. We own a building downtown. Okay,
fantastic.
Where I'm
That's
going
awesome.
with this, but that's not what where I'm going with this is like I feel like to this point the gifts, and you have these gifts to this point, like the gifts have been used for like you know, capitalistic purposes and business gain. And that business gain has been good because it's created jobs for other people. It's created tax revenue for the community. And we've raised money for charity. Where I'm going with this is, and Sarah Hill Buczynski is talking about this now, more people who have been business owners should hold public office. I feel compelled to get involved civically because I think what needs to happen is exactly what you said. More people that have started businesses and have managed that 80% of small businesses fail in their first 3 years, get into office, and then are then able to relay that perspective and that mindset of, dude, I freaking went through the trenches and it was not easy.
We need to make it easier.
And we need to make it easier. Right. That is one of the things that literally is motivating me to consider running for the 5th District. It's like, how do we figure out a way to make this easier for entrepreneurs? And like how you're talking about like with the estate taxes, or how you're talking about how bureaucracy potentially limited you from having more than 12 events in a year. I mean, those are the types of things that not only are going to limit the business from growing, but it's going to limit jobs from being created and limiting tax revenue for the local municipality, the state municipality, and the federal.
And the funds that we would raise
that
for a charity and then spend elsewhere or give away.
The disposable income that you would then spend in the community. I mean, thoughts on that?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I think it goes back to people being willing to, how are you going to find the time? As a business owner, can you be a business owner and run for office at the same time?
I don't know.
Man, my hat's off to the people that do that.
And also be a father?
And also be a father.
And a husband?
I know Denver Riggleman. He's somehow managing his time well enough to do all three. His kids are a little older, but I think to get down to brass tacks, I think having the Board of Supervisors in Albemarle County and the Economic Business Development arms in Albemarle County get together to continue to collaborate. It's not an us and them; it's an us. All right, we all live in this community together. We all live in this county together. We drink the same wine or the beer or wherever. We all live in this place together, and we need to make it better together. And the only way to do that is to be willing to come to the table
and start the dialogue. Be
willing to start the dialogue. So I think that business owners are going to have to make the time to do that. You know, my dad did it for 10 years, and he kind of waved the flag for the Virginia wine industry. Someone's going to have to take that flag and run with it, and you can't just rely on the same old person. You know, you have to be engaged civically. You have to not only be engaged in your business, but you have to keep a tab on what's going on in your community.
Sounds like you've thought about this.
I mean, sometimes.
Are you the one of the 3 brothers?
I'm the baby. Yep.
Oh, but are you the one of the 3 brothers that would have to be the spokesman?
We all kind of share that role, but they'll tag me to say, "Hey, I'm busy. Go take care of that."
Because you're good at it.
Well, not that the Marine Corps helped with that, but and St. Anne's and UVA, I can't.
Of course.
But they'll gladly do the same thing. You know, if they had the time, they'd be sitting in this chair right across from me today. But it's going to take people time and energy to be able to come in, sit down at the table, and start that dialogue to advocate for themselves. Because honestly, here's what my dad said over the years. He said,
Al Schoenberg says, your dad's shoes are big shoes to fill.
They're huge, and I don't know who's going to fill them, but he's always said, regardless of whether it's the Board of Supervisors in Albemarle County or in Richmond, he's like, if you're not in the room, you don't have a place at the table. So you have to show up. If you want to have a voice and you want to be heard, you need to show up and you need to speak your mind.
Participation.
And let people know where you stand in a respectful way, because otherwise laws are going to get passed and you could wake up tomorrow and be out of business.
Right.
Literally.
Right.
That is a fact. It's particularly in the Virginia wine industry. And so my dad's always said, hey, if you want to play the game, you got to show up.
Yeah.
Just show up.
And
that's 90% of it.
Dude, I was just going to say that.
Showing
up is 90% of it.
Showing up, yeah. I don't know who said that quote, but we could look it up. And it's so true. Is you just got to show up and play the game.
It is so true. I totally share your mind. You're blowing up here. Molly Green, I do miss those trenches. Kudos to the King family for always striving for the best. It shows with the brand. Matthew Brown, proud of you, brother. Improvise, adapt, overcome.
Yes.
Tim Collier, way to go, James.
Thank you, Tim.
Bingham, Jameson. Bingham, Jameson, James King. When are you going to run for public office?
Never. I'm too busy running a business with my family.
Oh, man, I know the feeling. Gail, Marie, Marianne, Dieter, Jane. Thanks, Jerry. I'm learning from this interview. I rely on my own experience, but I also got to be willing not to fail as well. This is an inspiring interview. Caitlin Mancini, I love King Family Vineyards. I hope to go to Wheels, Wine, and Wonder May 11th.
Yep, that's Chris Long Foundation's event. Yep.
Mark Glickman is tuning in. I mean, we're 73 minutes in. You have killed it. It's felt like 7.5 minutes, which is a testament to you. I want to get out of your way, and I want to create a one more sizzle reel.
Sure.
And Tolbert, this sizzle reel will be where James can go anywhere you want. Talk about any topic you want. So this might be the toppest thing.
I might need direction.
Yeah, anything you want here. How about this one? This is a good one. What do you want the legacy to be for the King family in Crozet in Central Virginia?
That's a good question. That's a tough question.
And you want to think about it for a second? No, you good? Okay.
Yeah, I kind of shoot from the hip.
Okay.
And this is just me answering. If you ask my mom and dad or my brothers, they might have a different answer. But for me, I want our legacy to be that King Family Vineyards is a place where family, friends, community can gather to enjoy each other's company, look at the view, maybe have a glass of wine, but that's not necessarily a requirement. We want it to be a gathering place that people can enjoy the beauty of Albemarle County. So that's really it. It's simple. It doesn't have to be long or big and bold. I mean, that's, again, the people, place, and product. It's just a fun place to sit and enjoy some green grass, look at the beautiful mountains, and enjoy each other's company in the day and meet people. Whether, it's been really cool, the wedding side of things, being able to host someone's first day of their marriage, like, that's really powerful. As our kids and us, we've all gotten to see people get, start their first day of the rest of their lives together. We had a girl, she was married fairly young, but she said to my mom, I've been wanting to get married here since I was 12 years old. And to have someone say that to us those are the moments that make it really special, that we're like, wow, I'm so glad we're doing this. And so when you hear those things, you feel good about what you're doing in the community. And so it's things like that. Like, that's a cool legacy to have someone say, I've been wanting to get married at my home, essentially, since I was 12 years old. And now they're doing it, and we get to help facilitate that process. That's really cool.
It is cool.
So yeah, just a place where people make memories and share each other's company and hopefully buy some wine.
That's sizzle reel, Tolbert. Do you think, I got one more on that, and I've been struggling with this because of the birth of my son.
Yeah.
It's given me a completely different perspective that I did not have. Mm-hmm. I think parents that are watching understand that. Obviously, you do. You have 2 and 1 on the way.
These are for you, by the way.
Thank you.
It's going to help with your parenthood.
I need the help. Okay, I need the help. The best, hardest thing ever.
That's right. It is the best, hardest thing ever.
Last question here.
Shoot.
Do you think about legacy more since you've been a father?
Yes and no.
Okay. Because it's consuming me.
Honestly, my dad and my mom have taught me that while it's important business is important, at the end of the day, it's not. Family is everything, and time is so important and precious. Time is the
most precious commodity.
Most precious commodity.
Yeah.
You can't get it back. You can't pay for more, no matter how much money you have. And so, with my dad's health being the way it is, I want to spend every waking moment with that guy and just be around him and enjoy his company and learn from him. And so getting back to legacy, like, I want my legacy, I want my kids to look back and say, Dad made time despite working so hard. Dad made time to come to the soccer game, go to the school play, He made time to sit and play on the floor with me and put his phone down and be an engaged parent. I want my kid to want to call me when he's 25 and ask me a question and say, hey, Dad, what do you think about this? And he would only do that if I spent the time now answering and being engaged now. So if the business burned down tomorrow, it's okay. It's just stuff. It's just a place. And at the end of the day, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter. People matter. Family matters. The people that work with us matter. Our customers matter. And time matters. And where you prioritize and put your time is going to determine your legacy.
I think that's going to also keep you from running for politics then.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
This was a killer interview. Sarah says it's a killer interview. It's fire, guys. I'm grateful for you. Thank you.
No, yeah, thank you for having us. Appreciate it. That was fun.
Seriously.
Anytime you want us to come back, hopefully I can get my brothers back.
I would love to do a round table like that.
That would be really cool. They're awesome, and it's really fun when you get the banter back and forth.
Yeah, we can do that, and like have like a barbershop where we can have like a glass of wine and just talk about life. I would love to do that. The invitation is always open.
Please come out to King Family and let me know when you're coming out so we can do this on the patio and watch the sun go down and drink a couple glasses.
And I would love if you met my family.
I'd love to. It'd be an honor.
Well, thank you. Guys, thank you for watching. Dude, killed it. I mean, James killed it. We will archive this interview in totality on ilovecville.com. We will create sizzle reels from this interview, which are short highlight clips. Anytime I said a sizzle reel, it's an approachable highlight clip from the show. I mean, think about the interview in totality as a football game. The sizzle reels are touchdown passes. And I feel like James King was 35 of 40 with 6 touchdown passes and 400 yards passing today. Utterly crushed it today.
Thanks.
Barbara Lugren says your legacy also is that you grew the wine and the events industry in our region. Your mom was one of my best friends to get me started. Thank you,
awesome.
King
Thanks.
Family. From Barbara Lundgren. Brooks Tanner says, very inspiring. He's watching in Pennsylvania. Thank you all for this fantastic interview. If I did not get to your comment, it's because I wanted to spotlight this guy and his family. We closed the show the same way. Allie King, James King, way to represent. Barbara Fox, BZ James, you knocked it out of the park. Lisa Ramirez Pasado, great interview, James King.
Thank you.
Anywhere you're watching this, like and share the feed. It gives it more attention. And ladies and gentlemen, we close the show the same way. The first thing we close is if you give more than you take in our world, you will make the world a better place, and I bet you will win in the end. So give more than you take and watch what happens that comes from that. And the second way we close is with the golden rule. I try, and our team does, and our family does, to treat others as they want to be treated themselves, as I want to be treated. And if we embody the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated yourself, we will make the world a better place. And Charlottesville needs this. Central Virginia needs this more than ever. And, I think one of the amazing things that's happening with the UVA basketball team, and we didn't have a chance to highlight this with James, and I know he's a diehard Wahoo fan, is I feel like Tony Bennett and this UVA men's basketball team is bringing Charlottesville together. It's like galvanizing the community. I mean, I was at a sports bar on Saturday, and I was literally, the energy was off the charts, and I'm watching with folks of every socioeconomic background. It was like a melting pot of race, of culture, and it was in all one place, and we were all screaming and cheering for a common goal, and it was the UVA men's basketball team trying to go as far as possible. And I feel like Tony Bennett is such a great ambassador of this community, and the pillars of his team and what he embodies, we should try to embody those. And we should treat people like we want to be treated ourselves. And that will make Charlottesville better. My name is Jerry Miller. Harris Tolber is our director. He has the hard job. He keeps us on air. Judah Wickhauer and Lauren Linsky, producers of this program. This is the I Love CVille Show. Our entire mission is to leave Charlottesville in a better place than when we first arrived in 2000 to attend the University of Virginia as a first year. That literally is what wakes us up and drives us every single morning. I will catch you tomorrow with Brian Pinkston. Brian Pinkston is running for Charlottesville City Council. We're trying to use this platform to put city councilors and what they stand for out in the spotlight so you become more educated and you become more civically engaged and involved and you head to the polls and vote. Okay? Mayor Walker and Vice Mayor Heather Hill, they each won spots with less than 8,000 votes on Charlottesville City Council. Okay? So vote. And it's the June 11th primary that's going to impact city council, guys, not the November election. My name is Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille Show. I'll see you tomorrow at 12:30.
Thanks, dude.
Dude, it was awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
that was really fun.
It was awesome.
Those are the